I was being courted by several colleges. I had several scholarships lined up. The future was looking real good. And when my brother got arrested, it destroyed my dreams. It was like a thunderstorm, a cloud just came right over my head. Everybody know who the first person in the world is. If I say who was the first person to go to the moon, you'll say Neil Armstrong. Who knows Timothy Wilson Spencer? When I look at this picture, I see a methodical, calculated criminal that stole people's lives. And it's time for me to speak my truth on what I went through as a person and being the brother of Timothy Wilson Spencer. Growing up, it was my mom and my brother. We don't have too many pictures together. This is my brother and myself. We're 9 or 10 years apart. He's a proud big brother. And I was proud that he was proud to be my big brother. This picture showed me that we had potential to be a great family. Don't nobody know why he did what he did. We could speculate, but no, he the only one that knows why. One day, I was outside playing with one of my friends, and I heard a thud like, doot. I'm looking around, and we looking around, like, we hear another thud. And we looked, and I saw one of my brother's friends throwing rocks. The rocks kept flying around, and I looked, and one of them hit me like right under the eye. Split me to the white meat. I was gushing blood, and I run inside. I'm crying.
Wow, Travis, baby, what happened? Oh my God.
So we try to bandage it up a little bit.
Let me see, move your hand.
Mom, like, what happened? I'm like, Tim's friend threw a rock and it hit me under the eye, and my brother comes in.
Hey, what happened?
He looks at me, he's like, what the hell happened to your eye?
What happened, man? Somebody hit you?
It was one of your friends.
And I said, one of your friends threw a rock and it hit me. And he was like, which one? And I told him who it was.
All right. Hey, look, you'll be all right, little bro. I'll be back.
Look up here at mommy, baby.
And he said, don't worry about it. I'll handle that for you. The next day, I'm walking to the bus stop, and that friend comes up to me and says, hey, little Spencer.
Yo, dude, wait.
Travis, I apologize for throwing that rock and hitting you in the eye yesterday.
I'm so sorry about yesterday. Are you okay?
And as he's telling me this, I'm looking at him. And I'm like, she got a black eye too. Wow, you got a big one.
What happened to you?
Nothing.
I stood there and I was like dumbfounded that he had a black eye. Later on that day, my brother said, did he apologize? And I was like, yes, he did. He said, I told you I'll handle that for you.
We good?
Yeah, we're good.
That situation right there had me feeling special. I was his little brother, and he didn't want to see me hurt. That was a good feeling as a young kid, knowing somebody has your back. I remember I saw him about to go outside, and I was like, hey, Tim, can I come hang with you today? And usually he'll say no, but I would always ask. And this day he was like, yeah, come with me. His friends just started coming out and, hey, what's up? And before you know it, it was maybe 3 to 5 of us just walking around and stumbled across a couple of stray cats.
Look.
Before you know it, the cat was in a pillowcase. And they tied the pillowcase up. And they laughing and giggling about it. And they started throwing rocks at the pillowcase with the cat in there.
Come on. Don't do that. Nah. Get off.
That was too much. I just had a bad feeling and I walked off. A couple of days later, it came out that they set that pillowcase on fire with that cat in there. I had friends come up and say, hey man, you know your brother set a cat on fire? I confronted him. He said it wasn't him. But a lot of the things that he said he didn't do, apparently he did. And I'm here to tell people, don't overlook anything. Question everything. I remember the first time Timothy went to juvenile detention. It was for breaking and entering our own house. My mom and my mom's boyfriend and I, we go out and get something to eat. Upon our return, we saw that our back window.
Hello?
We've been robbed. Somebody's been in here. But we look around the house. We didn't see anything out of the ordinary. And we was trying to figure it out. And my mom went straight to the money drawer and saw that all the money was gone. They took the $1,500 that my mom and my mom's boyfriend were saving. And only 4 people knew where that stash was.
Anybody home?
So my brother comes home.
I wasn't.
We asked him if he had touched it, and of course he denied it.
Where's the money?
I don't know what you're talking about. I just got here.
He's saying he doesn't know what happened. He doesn't know what happened to the money.
This was for you and your brother.
I told you I didn't do anything.
I felt betrayed. Like, how can you steal from us? I mean, they work hard to put that money there for us.
Where is it?
I got nothing to say.
I was like, wow. That's the first time I actually saw no empathy, lack of respect for authority. We reported it, so he got arrested. He was in the juvenile detention center for, I guess, 8 months. And that was the first time I saw my brother in a different light.
This had nothing to do with me.
Police come banging on the door with a search warrant. That's when things started to take a change. This is a picture of my brother, Timothy, AKA Sport Coat. And that was his nickname, Sport Coat. You put a sport coat on, you feel cool. It was cool like that. By this time, he was in and out of jail, in and out of juvie. It started when he got arrested for breaking and entering. He was taking collector's items, coins and souvenirs and things like that, things that had a value to it, that were pawnable. He would come home for maybe 3 or 4 months, violation, back in. That was his pattern. But I was still optimistic that one day he would leave that trouble in them streets alone. I thought in order to bond with somebody, you have to be like them. But when I got caught stealing, Tim's reaction was not what I was expecting. The police dropped me off at the house, and my mom opened the door up, and I'm laying in the bed, with my chest swole, waiting on my brother to come in so I could tell him the good news, like, yeah, I stole something. And it's our bonding moment. And he comes in, and then he says to me, Mom told me you've been stealing. I was like, yeah.
Man, I'm getting spoiled, man. What the hell is the matter with you, man?
I'm thinking he's gonna say something like, good job, or yeah, that's my little brother. And he looks at me with total disgust, like, don't do it.
You can't do the same things I'm doing.
I thought you'd be proud of me.
He's telling me, don't hurt Mom, don't steal, don't do anything to have her crying.
You got moms all upset.
Play sports, man. I know you good. You got it. Just play sports. Don't do the things I did. Do the right thing, Travis.
You're better than this.
That meant a lot. That meant everything. He sensed that it was something special in me, and he articulated that. It changed my life.
Now stick to what you're good at. Basketball.
That's one of the fondest moments that I had. You know what I'm saying? You're special. Didn't want to disappoint him, and didn't want to disappoint my mom. So, I live to not disappoint my mom. Maybe if he did that, I'd still be here today. So. I think he was committing those trespassing charges because he was perfecting his craft. He was learning from each episode that he had to not reduplicate that mistake. He gets locked up again for trespass. So he calls from the jail.
Hello?
Travis, I need you to hide those Bootsy glasses.
They're upstairs in my closet. You need to go get them now.
They were very expensive sunshades, circle glasses with stars in them, and they were filled with diamonds. These glasses was at least a couple of $1,000s. I heard the fear in his voice.
You need to calm down.
No, you need to listen. The cops are coming right now.
He was like, throw them in the trash, hide them, do whatever you gotta do. The police cannot find these glasses. I was like, oh no.
You want me to get in trouble too?
I knew those phone calls were recorded. He's telling me to basically be a conspirator. You're just as guilty if you do that. And I just couldn't do it.
You have to do this right now. Get off the phone and go.
I gotta go. The cops are here.
Police come banging on the door with a search warrant.
Is your mother home?
And I told him where the glasses were. I didn't feel like I betrayed him because he told me to do the right thing. They pressed charges, and he was in there for, I think, a year. He learned his lesson from that one. He learned never to have your goods laying around. Stash them somewhere, outside or whatever, but don't have them in the house. After he got out, that's when things started to take a change. It was Thanksgiving, and we always would have Thanksgiving at my grandmother's house. But as a whole family being there, my brother was always locked up during Christmas, so Thanksgiving time.
Yes, honey. Okay. We miss you and we love you.
So this one particular incident, we're talking on the phone and everybody's like, hey, how you doing, Tim?
Happy Thanksgiving, Tim.
And when we hang up the phone, they start saying, that boy crazy. Remember And they had that bird.
I still can't believe what he did to that bird.
It's like, bird? One of my mom's friend had a parakeet, and she asked my mom to look after the parakeet for her. Tim got a hold of the parakeet, and the parakeet ends up dead. I was like, really? And then they go on to stories about gerbils.
Yeah, but I ain't nothing compared to the gerbil.
Why you gotta bring that up?
Another time, Timothy was upset with a family member, which happened to own a gerbil. He decided to kill the gerbil.
Stuffing push pins in that gerbil's eyeballs? That's sick.
The gerbil was found with pins pushed all the way through the eyeballs, the nose, the head, just every angle.
Pushpins.
I was disturbed. Thoughts of evil ran through my mind. For you to hold a gerbil and push pins through a head, nose, eyes, ears, while holding it and listening, that's something wrong mentally. I think the squealing, the struggle part is what really fascinated him. And if you look at it, that was pretty much how the victims were. They were tortured. They struggled for their lives. He's in total control. I was crying and then choked me and I couldn't cry no more. Some days I thought maybe he should have just killed me.
Please.
Wow, mugshot. This is one of the notorious mugshots that they always use. That, you know, whenever they speak of my brother, they bring this shot up. He's going to jail for trespassing here. But there could be a body out there. You never know. It looked like he's crazy in that picture. He looked like he's happy to be there. It seemed like every time he would get locked up, he would come out a little more aggressive and a little more physical. That's when I became the guinea pig. He started practicing on me. I would think I was home all alone. I don't know where he was hiding. I just know he was going to the bathroom and he popped out of nowhere with a stocking over his face and a knife. And put it to my throat. And then, you know, I was against the wall. And I couldn't cry, I couldn't do nothing. I was just stuck.
Please.
After about 5 seconds, he just started laughing. Like, oh, you was scared. You was scared, wasn't you? Like, yeah, I was scared. Absolutely.
Got you good, didn't I?
Can't be scaring me like that, man. I don't like being scared like that. And he thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
He definitely got a nice rush off of seeing me startled. And once he saw that I was startled, they became more frequently, more aggressive and more physical. During the summer break, my brother and I would spend a lot of time alone together. My mom worked from 7 in the morning to approximately 7 or 8 at night. I would walk the house to make sure I was home alone. Open the bathroom door, and he in there. This time, he would throw me on the bed and take that stocking cap that he had on his head and use that as literatures. Real methodical. It happened so fast. It's like he had a way to do it. Wrap your hands, push you on the bed, wrap with your feet, Then it was a look in his eyes. It was no talking to him at that point. He was gone. I mean, his eyes just had evil written on them. So I was hog-tied and then put a sock in my mouth. And he threw me in the closet. It's hard to convey how scary it is. I laid there and I had trouble breathing, so I would find a way to arch my back and my neck and my feet so I could rest and breathe a little bit. And then I would use my hands to undo my feet. It took me so long to undo one little knot. I asked myself, why am I being tortured like this? Why is he doing this to me? It was like somebody practicing their craft and they're trying to get it to perfection. It took me about 4 hours to get out of that one. If I would get out of that, I'd go try to fight him. Like, what you doing? I could have died in there. And I would really try to physically hurt him. And it was like, Trav, you shouldn't be such a crybaby, man. You know he was just playing around. I was like, yeah, but I couldn't breathe, man. Almost died in it. Tim had a very unorthodox time frame. When it's dark outside, he wants to wake up and hit the streets. It was almost like he was a vampire. When we asked him where was he going, he'd just say, you know, a friend's house. But was that really true? He would come home and go straight to the bathroom and stand there for like an hour and a half. I was always wondering what he was doing in there. I tried to look under the door, and it looked like he was at the sink washing up, but never heard any water run. So one morning, I knocked on the door, and I was like, what are you doing? He was washing his shoes, and I thought that was bizarre. Wet the whole shoe and then scrub where he needed to scrub, take the soap and wash his shoestrings like this. I mean, it was like he was obsessed with it. Every time he went out, he made sure that he washed his shoes.
Yo, what are you doing up?
Why are you cleaning your shoes?
You have to stay fresh, Travis.
People look at your shoes, they'll judge you, and know what's up.
And I thought that was admirable. Now, in hindsight, I would think that there was some evidence there that he was cleaning up. But the information he presented to me, at that time, I took at face value. It made sense at the time.
Go to bed, man.
Buster!
The dog noticed something in the yard. I went out to check it out, and when I walked around the corner, I'm like, whoa. January of '88, wow. Whew. This is right before they arrested him. This is him while he's doing the crimes that he's committed. He has a slick look in his eyes, like he's getting away with a lot of stuff that you don't even know. Little did he know that his world was about to come crashing down right after this picture. Thanksgiving of '87, we were living in Arlington, Virginia. I was in high school. My brother was in a halfway house in Richmond. Richmond is an hour and 30 minutes away from Arlington, Virginia. And we had no idea that there was a serial killer on the loose in Richmond. He was labeled as the Southside Strangler. In Richmond, it was a whole fiasco. I mean, you had people going to the hardware stores, nailing their windows shut. The whole town was in a frenzy. We had no idea. Just an hour and a half down the road, pandemonium was going on. The Thanksgiving, when everything went down, he came home on a furlough. One morning, I let the dog out to use the bathroom, and the dog went out, and I was talking to him like, hey, hurry up.
Buster, where you at?
But on his way back to the house, it stopped and looked to the right. The dog noticed something in the yard. It wouldn't come back in the house.
Yo, let's go.
I went out to check it out, and when I walked around the corner, I see a bag on the side of the house, and I'm like, whoa, what's this bag doing on the side of the house? So I opened the bag up. I saw the Army fatigue coat. I didn't even look to see what else was in there. I was just impressed with the coat, and I was like, I don't even care, but let me try this on. As soon as I put one arm in to try to see what it looked like,
Yo, what the hell are you doing?
my brother comes out of nowhere.
Yo, were you in my bag?
And I was like, why is your bag out here anyway? Your bag should be in the house.
No, I don't think you heard me, bro. I'm serious. Don't ever touch my bag again.
Snatched it out of my hand and was like, stay the hell out of my bag. So I didn't say anything. I never thought that he was per se hiding something, but there's definitely other stuff in the bag. Knowing what I know now, it probably would have been some tools, mask, gloves. I mean, it was the whole starter kit. After he got caught, that jacket proved to be evidence. It was time for my brother to go back to the halfway house. He wanted to get a ride with my uncle to save a little bit on the bus fare, so my uncle volunteered to take him.
Hello?
My uncle called back and was like, Travis, where's your mom? I gotta talk to her.
Yeah, hold on. Mom, it's for you.
I gave her the phone, and she was like, what? All I heard was, what?
And where did he go? Okay, bye.
And she hung up the phone, and I said, Mom, what's going on? She said, that was your uncle. He just told me that he dropped him off on the side of the road in Richmond. I guess at some point during their travels, my brother requested to get dropped off on the side of the highway. And my mom asked, was there anything around there? And he was like, there's a mall across the street, so maybe he went to the mall. She asked me, what do you think it means? I was like, I have no idea. And then, come to find out, years later after he got executed, he was using the malls to case potential victims. I didn't know that then. I just thought that he did not want to go to the halfway house. My mom and I had a routine. The day I found out something was wrong, I knew it, I could feel it, because she was home early. I go up the stairs and I see my mom in the room and she's crying, and I see a newspaper. And I asked my mom, I said, Mom, what's wrong? And she was crying, she couldn't stop crying.
Okay.
It was kind of an eerie feeling, and I knew that something big was going on. I just didn't know what it was. So I looked at the newspaper and I saw Timothy Wilson Spencer, arrested for capital murder. Sitting beside my mom, I hugged her and kissed her and said, "It is capital murder." And she just cried. She was devastated. I read the article 10 times. It didn't say how many victims, it just said brought up on capital punishment charges. I was in a daze. I couldn't really visually see my brother murdering somebody. I was feeling numb. I was feeling confused. And I had a lot of questions that didn't have a lot of answers at that time. I look at those pictures of the victims, and I was like, that was me. I was tied up just like they were. Only thing is, I'm here to talk about it. When I read the article, he was arrested for breaking and entering, rape, murder. They didn't have how many. And as the days went on, more and more information was leaked. It went from one, then it was another one, then it was another one, then it was another one, and it was another one, to the point where he's a serial killer. And I'm like, no, not my brother. And the only thing I could think of was, why? If he did it, why? And that's the first thing I asked him when he called.
Hello?
Travis.
Tim? What the hell is going on? You got us terrified over here.
I asked him, did you do these things that these people are accusing you of? And he said, no. I wanted to believe him 100%. And I was like, well, thank God you ain't do it, because if you did do that, I ain't gonna feel sorry for you, man. And then he went on to say, you remember, I was at home with y'all. And when he said that, my heart sunk a little bit because I felt like he did it. You wasn't home with us.
I don't remember you being home at all.
I said, well, if you was at home with us, what all we do? Saying you don't remember? No, I don't. Enlighten me. And he couldn't.
Come on, Travis.
Nah, man. I ain't saying nothing but the truth.
And I told him, if you walking around here killing people, you deserve everything that they're gonna give to you. I don't think he had a empathy button that allow you to feel for some other people. I just think he was missing that. My brother's method of entry were through small windows, preferably basement windows. Once he gained access into the house, he would sort out his victim. Some said that he's waited in some closets for hours until the victims got home. And you think you're all alone and let you get real settled in, and then out of nowhere, bam, the surprise element hits. He would tie them up and throw them in the closet. It's reported that he would choke the victims to the point of unconscious, and then revive them, bring them back a little bit, and then start the whole process over again. You know, I look at those pictures of the victims, and I was like, that was me. I was tied up just like they were. Only thing is, I'm here to talk about it. these are two of his victims, Susan Helms and Debbie Davis. Looking at these pictures, I feel like they're alive for just this 1 second. They're smiling, and he took their smile away from them. For the families of the victims that were affected by this tragedy, I want you to know that from the bottom of my heart, and I give you my most sincerest condolences, and I want you guys to know that I pray for you and I wish you nothing but the best. This picture is of my brother Timothy Wilson Spencer at the day he was being executed. And his sentence was electrocution. He never admitted to the crimes, but he left semen and bodily fluids at the crime scene that he didn't think would lead to his arrest. The United States convicted of murder through DNA. It's nice and sunny. It's a beautiful day. And we couldn't believe that this was gonna be the last day that my brother was here on this earth. And I get inside the death chambers and I asked him face to face, was there anything I could have did? You know, better, so he would be in this situation. And I asked him, he said no. And I said, do you have any requests that you want me to carry through? He said, yeah, I want you to make sure Grandma all right. Take care, Mom. Take care, Mom. And for you, my brothers, just keep doing the right thing. I'll look out after you. Bless you. And I told him I would do that. And I told him that I loved him. Told me he loved me. We got one last hug as a family. They had to pry my mom from him. She was holding on tight. She said, I don't want to let go of my baby. I don't want to let him go. If I let him go, they're going to kill him. Never heard anybody scream like that or cry like that. This is my photo album. All my pictures from basketball. All the hopes and dreams of going to play professional basketball was pretty much out the window. A lot of coaches stopped showing interest. I had to start all over. I went to school and I just felt like it was nowhere for me to go, so I started working.
So far, so good? Yeah. All right, you having a good time too?
I got into stand-up comedy. I've been in the comedy business for 22 years now, and run 3 rooms in Virginia.
That's all they do. One show. Just one show.
And comedy is what got me through everything. If it wasn't for laughter, I don't know where I would be today.
Thank you, College Park Forever.
I love to see people laugh. I love to hear laughter and make somebody happy. After that long, dark ride, I try to pick the positive things that he inspired me to do, and I try to do it to the best of my ability. He told me to just do the right thing. And I think I held my end of the deal. I think I'm moving in the right direction.
The minute I let myself fall apart, let myself not be strong, is the minute he wins. And he's already taken enough, and I'm not going to let him take anything else.
Police are still searching along a 700-mile stretch of highway from Pennsylvania through Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and Nebraska.
He described bell-shaped sewer connectors made of concrete. He described fence. He described, wood piles, things of that nature.
I had been saying for 2.5 years that this was not how it was supposed to end. I had started becoming just a detective and trying to figure out where exactly they were. I was persistent. I could not give up. It was now all up to me. This is a picture of our wedding back in 1984. I don't have many pictures of him around, and this is one of them, and I don't look at it very often. I thought I'd gotten rid of all these. I met him in high school. He was the son of a U.S. diplomat from Nicaragua, and he pursued me to some extent and asked me out, and he proposed to me in my senior year of college. At the time, it was like, oh, this is good. I'm going to have this life that, was in my plan. You go to college, I'm going to have a job, and we can have this perfect little family. And I was on track for that. The hardest part of looking at this is thinking that we both looked happy. We both looked like this was normal. And it's very hard to think that I actually loved him or liked him. I think if I could say something to the younger me, it would certainly be follow your gut and pay attention and, maybe be stronger than what, you were. Phones in college in the 80s, everybody didn't have a phone. There was the dorm phone. But I was a RA, I was a resident assistant, so I had a phone in my room. The summer before my senior year, I was out one Friday night and he was calling. When I came into the dorm, I went upstairs and I could hear my phone ringing. And other people that came out of their rooms came out and were kind of angry. They said, that phone has been ringing all night. Can you make it stop or answer it? As soon as they told me the phone had been ringing all night, I knew who it was. I knew it was him calling. Apparently, he just let the phone ring and ring and ring. And it's in a dorm, and these rooms are not soundproof. Hello? When I picked up the phone, I was annoyed that he was bothering other people. And I'm like, have you been calling all night? And what's going on? And at first you think maybe there's something wrong or he needs something. Is everything okay? He goes, I was just waiting for you to come home. And I was just laying here, so I was just letting it ring. And I said, yeah, but everybody can hear you. Everybody can hear the phone ringing. You can't do that. It was like he didn't get it. He didn't see that what he was doing might be annoying to other people. He was bored and I should be there to talk to him. He just was so persistent in wanting to talk to me that he didn't know enough to just stop. And that bothered me, that, you know, why would you go to that level of calling and calling and calling and calling without thinking that that didn't make sense? But I don't think I saw this as obsessive at the time. I think I saw this as just more of a lack of compliance with like the norms and what people do. I figured he just didn't understand. It just seemed needy. The summer before we got married, he became very, very kind of aggressive and pushy and wanted things his way. I was in Baltimore at Johns Hopkins, and I remember we would spend a lot of time together, and we'd be walking, and it was an area that I didn't know much about. I wasn't familiar with where he was taking me or where we were going.
Where are we going?
What is your problem, Terry?
We were getting in an argument, and I have no idea what. I'm sure it was something pretty benign. And he started getting really angry that I wanted to do something that he didn't want to do.
Just shut up, Terry.
I don't think he hit me that night. He did put his hands on me, and he just threatened that he was going to leave me there. And I was going to be stuck, and he didn't care. This was someone I hadn't seen before. He had always been this very nice, soft-spoken, good person. But I was very fearful that he was just going to leave me there. I didn't know the area. I didn't have money on me. It was dark. I don't think it was a idle threat. I felt like if I didn't do something, he was going to walk away. And that was probably the first time that I had to soothe the situation.
I didn't mean to upset you. I'm sorry.
And he didn't leave me there. And then he's very apologetic.
Let's go.
So now he's pretending that everything's back to normal. But you shouldn't make me mad like that. You know, it almost like it leaves a little, just a dent in you. And so you say, oh, he's probably right. Maybe I should be careful how I treat people. And maybe there was a part of me that wondered, and again, I'm not the most experienced 20-year-old person out there. I said, maybe this is something that relationships have to deal with. I wasn't that aware that that wasn't the way you were supposed to be. Our honeymoon was kind of an all-inclusive honeymoon resort. I mean, all the way down to the heart-shaped bathtub with the whole thing, which should have been fun, but he must have had a different idea of a honeymoon. When he was drinking, he wasn't as fun to be with because he became very self-centered. We would go out, we'd meet another couple, and they talked about smoking pot. They said, come on, let's go. And he pulled me aside, trying to get me to join in.
Come on. It'll be fun.
It just became a lot of pressure. I said, no, I don't want to be bothered with that. Then he kind of handed it to me. No, come on, you gotta try it. He's very pushy and persistent, and it's my fault that he's not happy.
Why do you have to ruin everything?
It became more and more of a conflict. He was definitely angry that I didn't want to do it. I felt at that point he was kind of forcing me into a situation that he knew I didn't want to be in.
I'm not comfortable with this.
It was just a really bad, uncomfortable night. And it wasn't necessarily violent, but it was just me. You know, it was all about what he wanted and what I should do because of what he wanted. This wasn't what it's supposed to be. I shouldn't feel this way on my honeymoon. It was all about him. He would want to do things that were uncomfortable and that hurt me, and didn't want to take no for an answer.
I said stop. Shut your mouth.
I saw the role of power in the relationship as really being about him getting his way. I think he needed to feel he had power. I think he needed to feel like he was in charge. We had decided to take a vacation. I think it was someplace in New Hampshire. And one of the routes to get there was very open and scenic.
Look at this jerk.
Someone was on his bumper that he didn't like. And so instead of pulling over or doing it, he decided he was going to slow down. I'm telling him that you can speed up here, so you need to go a little faster. And all of a sudden, he just decides he's going to go slower.
Just let them pass.
And he starts now driving 25, 30 miles an hour.
What are you doing?
And there's no way to go around anybody. And now cars are piling up behind him. And I said, you can't just keep driving so slow. What are you trying to do? He didn't say anything. There's probably 20 or 30 cars behind us. And every one of them was like honking at him. And it didn't bother him. We were probably an hour from the end of this road. I don't know what his intent was, but it was so humiliating to sit in that car for that long of time while he's just being a jerk.
Please, just drive. Just speed up.
After about 10 minutes of telling him, this is ridiculous, you need to go faster, finally, I just shut up. And it was just silent the whole rest of the way home. I can only assume what he was getting out of it was an opportunity to have power. It was about him being able to do something to other people that they couldn't do anything about. And he was in charge. He was in control of the whole situation. When it came to intimacy and sex, he was very much all about him. He was persistent and persistent and didn't want to take no for an answer until he got what he wanted.
Manuel, I don't know.
Just trust me.
That he wanted to have what he wanted to have.
I don't know if I want to do this.
My job was to please him, so it was more of a dominant, submissive type of thing.
Just relax.
Manuel, no.
He would want to do things that were uncomfortable and that hurt me.
Relax and do what I tell you.
There was a situation where he forced himself on me after I told him, no, we're not doing this, and he decided he was going to do it anyway.
Manuel, I said stop, please.
Shut your mouth.
And that's, in a marriage, there was no such thing as marital rape at that point. You just put up with it. It wasn't a consensual, loving relationship. It felt like it was one-sided, and I felt like I was being used.
So why did you stay?
So why did I stay? In the early phases, the reason I stayed, I think, was more based on that I thought I could fix this, because here I am not with a whole ton of experience in my life, and now I'm in this relationship, and I'm still questioning what's normal, what's not. It wasn't long before I was pregnant with Sarah, and she was born in 1988. And it was like, well, I can't divorce, because then everyone would know that I made a mistake. So I got to fix it. That's what you do in marriage anyway, is, you fix it. You don't just bail. But the little worm in my head was telling me that maybe this wasn't the best idea I ever had, was to get married.
What's for supper, dear? Leftovers?
Either that or we can come up with something different.
I think he, in his mind, had a very traditional role of the man in charge. Anytime that I would challenge that or push back on it, he became aggressive. His tone of voice would change, his demeanor would change, and it was this sign or this feeling that he was going to be mad. I don't know what triggered or escalated, but I remember he was now starting to be angry. So I'm thinking, I'm just going to leave. I'm just going to pick up Sarah and leave. And when I did that, he said, well, you don't bother coming back. And I left with her, and I remember driving around for a while and then trying to come back. He locked me out. That was his final word of the whole matter.
Come on, Manny.
He was going to make sure I stayed out, and I was going to pay for it. Who does that? Who locks your wife and child out just to make a point or to be, you know, the one in charge? I mean, is he that mean that he would do that?
Well.
Now what do I do? So I go back and I get in the car and decide to go to the hotel for the night. I remember just going in and have tears rolling down my eyes and checking into a hotel with my baby, not knowing what I should do next. I knew at that point what the message was. I knew what he was saying. I'm the one that gets to decide what's going to happen. But I didn't feel like it was a permanent thing. We'd be able to resolve it, get back on track like we had in the past.
Manuel, stop. That's not what I'm saying.
That is what you're saying.
He would push me down, and then he would hit me across the face.
No, Manny, please.
Once you have a child, it gets a lot more complicated. I really thought it might be a turning point. I think a lot of people do, that you think that having a child is going to make things better. But it didn't happen. I remember sitting at a dinner table, and he was mad because she was eating and hungry. And I was nursing her again at dinner time.
She's hungry, Manuel.
She didn't want her around. Why do I have to feed her at dinner?
But do you really have to do that in front of her?
She's a baby.
I thought it was odd that he didn't see the needs of this baby ahead of his needs to have, you know, me to himself. I think that's what the problem was, is he wanted my undivided attention while we had dinner together. And I would push back on him and say, well, that ain't gonna happen. How can you not put the needs of your children first?
Why can't you just listen to me and stop arguing for one?
I remember the glass going across the kitchen. When the glass was thrown, I don't feel like it was aimed at me, but I knew it was to teach me a lesson. And then it became, you clean that up. It was more about him having that control to make me clean it up than it was that I think he wanted to hurt me. So now I'm starting to clean up the glass, and he's standing there, and I'm trying to be calm and trying to keep it together, you know, and then that was it. It was over. I'm starting to see that he really can escalate. I'm now starting to think, what else might he do? Is the next one going to be aimed at me? But then there'd be 2 months or a month and nothing would happen. So you kind of start letting yourself settle back in until something happens again. And then you don't even realize that it's kind of worsening. When he didn't get his way or have the power to control the situation, that is where the problems always landed, with the violence, the pushing back. He needed to be the one controlling what was going to happen. In March of '91, I was pregnant with Philip. There was an argument that we had. He wanted to go do something with Sarah. And I said, no, it wasn't a good time. It was either right before lunch or right before a nap. And he was argumentative with me that I was bossing him around and telling him what should happen and not happen.
I don't want to wake her up. You think I don't know what's best for my own child?
He was escalating very quickly.
You're saying I'm a bad father? Manuel, stop. That's not what I'm saying. That is what you're saying.
He started shoving me towards the den.
Stop! You have the nerve to call me.
And I was telling him, knock it off. Don't, leave me alone.
Don't tell me to calm down. No, Manny, please.
And then that's when he came after me and hit me. He hit me hard enough that I had a black eye. And the thought that he would have hit me while I was pregnant just still baffles my mind. I said, just get out of here, just leave. He goes, well, I'm leaving, but I'm taking Sarah. And so he picked up Sarah and was heading to his car and went outside. And I followed him and I said, you're not taking her.
Manuel, stop. Put her down.
And he hit me again. And the neighbors had seen that. And within 5 minutes of this is still arguing, the police came because they had called the police. He was ordered to leave and had to stay away for 48 hours. I remember him calling that evening and saying that we need to get together and talk about how we can resolve this. He was calm, he was apologetic, and he immediately said, you'll need to talk to the prosecutors to have the charges dropped. I wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to do, but he had promised we'd go to some counseling. He had promised that we would work together because we had another baby coming. And I did believe him, but I shouldn't have. He used to like watching James Bond movies, and he decided he was interested in guns. Because he liked this James Bond type of gun, he went out and purchased that. He became very fascinated with his Beretta.
Look at this. It's just like from the movie.
He would literally admire it, like it was a piece of artwork.
It's beautiful.
He handled it like you would handle something fragile and pretty. He would ask me if I wanted to hold it, but I didn't appreciate it. Why do you need a gun? I think he enjoyed knowing that he had one. When you own a weapon like that, you have power. And he decided he wanted a second one. I just remember saying that has to stay away from the kids. Up in the closet in a locked box, and there was no way that was going to be anywhere where the kids could get it. I didn't ever think that that would be something that I would regret later. It just never bothered me as much as it probably should have. They were the guns he ended up using. He was doing something that he wasn't talking about. He was involved in some things that were just now getting really weird. I felt like he might have cared about me in the beginning, but as things progressed, I was seeing things, they stretched beyond what I knew he was already kind of like. And it made me wonder, was he really this strange, this weird? We had a computer in our bedroom, and he would be spending a lot of time on it. It was just noticeable that he was doing something that he wasn't talking about. So I started looking to see what he was doing on the computer and saw that he was involved in some things that were just now getting really weird. And they were, online chats with this submission dominance world, like very pornographic. And then some of them were extremely disturbing. The conversations were all focused on dominance. He would tell them to refer to him as master and sir. It was very much on what he expected of the woman to do for him. It was a chance for him to be in control, and I think that's what he wanted. It was kind of a side of him that I had seen before, the part of him that I didn't like. I was disgusted with the fact that he was like that and that I was still attached to him, but I'm realizing that there's no happy ending to this story. This is not the person that is going to be a good fit for me ever. And I know that I need to do something. This is a page out of a journal that I wrote. And I had provided a photocopy of this entire journal to the investigation, January 2000. After a long and stressful year, I told Manuel that I wanted to end the marriage. M said he would move out. He asked if I was desperate and asked if I could wait until May after taxes. I agreed. I was very surprised when he didn't push back or argue, but he would move out. May, no sign of moving. I'd been living on the couch in the living room. M said he wasn't ready to move. June, still not ready. It was like I was checking every month. Was this gonna ever happen? August, I confronted M again about moving. I said I would move. I told the kids and started searching for a 3-bedroom place. I didn't move until September, so it was 9 months that I spent living on the couch and in this really tense environment. After I moved out, it took about a year before the divorce was finalized, and we did it through mediation, so it was a very challenging process. He was going to have the kids every other weekend, but I had started to date. By the following fall, I was very much together with this man that I'd met, happier than I'd ever been in my life. We were dating and found out we were pregnant. So in 2003, we decided that we would get married in June. And it wasn't until I became involved with this man that Manuel became much more difficult. He was trying to keep doing things his way. He was really angry that there was a child support order. Really, really angry that he was supposed to contribute to some of this stuff, and he would threaten to not pay me child support. Manuel was very angry. Me moving on in my life was probably a big hit to his ego.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
I think he was feeling very threatened.
Manuel?
At that point, we were going to get married. So now we're looking at calendar and, which weekend did I have the kids? Which weekend were they with their father? And so by the time we came down to it, and we ended up on a Sunday, we ended up on June 15th, which was Father's Day. Probably wasn't the brightest and the best decision. It wasn't meant at all to be hurtful or to be vindictive. It was my weekend with the kids, and I knew that he wouldn't have been flexible at all on one that was supposed to have been his weekend. But he did express that he thought I had picked Father's Day on purpose just to be mean. Well, I said, it has nothing to do with being mean. You're welcome to spend all day Saturday with the kids. You're welcome to have them all week. You know, it's just the best day that worked for us. I can never say that I would have guessed this in a million years, ever. You protect your kids, and you shouldn't have to protect them from their father. Coming up on July 4th weekend, the plan was they would be spending it with their father, and I'd be going to Maine, and it didn't seem unusual at all. Reminded Philip that I'd be picking him up on Sunday. He's going to go to a sleepover camp, and told him to give me a call if they needed anything, and it was very routine, see you later type thing. I dropped them off at their father's house, and I didn't expect to hear from them because it normally wasn't the routine. On the Saturday, July 5th, I get a call from Sarah's boyfriend asking if I had heard from her.
I haven't. Why?
And then he says, there was a bad fight last night with Sarah and her father, and we haven't heard from Sarah today. She wanted to go with her boyfriend to a 4th of July party, and Manuel wasn't going to let her go, and it was this big fight. From what her boyfriend said, a really bad fight.
They're probably just out for the day.
It didn't alarm me. He could have taken them to the beach. It's really hot out. They could be anywhere. I had started to wonder, but I wasn't worried. This is Sarah on July 4th, 2003. That was right before the fight or the argument. She had her braces off. You know, this was clearly, she was very, very happy that day. Her boyfriend's mother gave me this picture. I remember she told me, she goes, I never take pictures. For some reason, I had a camera, and it was a disposable camera. She goes, so I decided to just take pictures. She even said, I don't know why I took just one of Sarah. You know, it was her family event. So deep down, I'm so glad I have it. Sunday morning, I'm getting ready to go over and pick up Philip for camp. And I get there at noon, 1 o'clock, and nobody's there. The car's not there, nobody's there. And honestly, I'm really mad. Tried to call, no answers, nobody's phone, everything's kind of dead, silent. I'm not understanding what's going on, and I'm really angry. Is he just being this much of a jerk? You know, that he's trying to make it so difficult for me. The shift from being angry to fear was almost a gradual sinking feeling. 4 or 5 o'clock, nobody's there still. I'm thinking, what the heck is going on? And I called where he was working. And I spoke with somebody there, and they told me that he was no longer working, that he had been fired. And I think that's when I started to really panic. So I'm trying to think, what do I do? So I went to the police that night. I expressed concern for their well-being. And I don't know where they are. I think something could be wrong. Can you do a welfare check? They found food just left on the table, you know, just left. And it made me wonder, would they have left a dinner on the table, you know? What the heck is going on? I was very concerned. Maybe he's gonna take them and go live someplace else. And they found the gun case that was open on the bed. That triggered them to get more information. Early on, they had tracked the credit cards. They saw stops for gas, stops for Walmart, another stop for gas. They told me that they could see a trip all the way across the U.S. And I said he was going to get to California and turn left and go to Mexico. If he was angry enough at me, I think that would have made sense, that that's what he would have done, is to take them to Mexico where he could, you know, start over and live with them and disappear.
Nice Christmas gift we got from Reston, Virginia.
Reston?
Now that's good stuff.
They called me and they said, he's in California and we don't know if the kids are with him. But you need to be prepared to go to California. They started talking about whether he owned guns. Then they suddenly are asking me for DNA. Do you have anything that would have your children's DNA on it? The children are still missing. I don't know where they are. I think that something could be wrong. This is the National Registry, the flyer that went out for the missing kids. Philip and Sarah were last seen watching a fireworks display with their father at Memorial Field in Concord on July 4th, 2003. Sarah has a mole on her forehead and her ears are pierced. Last time Philip was seen, he had braces on his teeth. Just seeing this, it's just a reminder of how big this was and how awful it was. You know, you see missing children and all of a sudden this is your own kids. It's like, you know, we used to joke about your face going to be on a milk carton, and yet here we were looking at my two kids, that this is going national in hopes that someone can find them. But they didn't have their bodies. I argued with them about, how do you know? They're telling me there's brain matter in that car and that there was so much blood that had pooled underneath the carpet that there was no way that anybody had survived. And, you know, and you're hearing that and you're saying, Friday morning, I got a call from the Attorney General's office and they have a victim's advocate. They told me, we'll be over to see you. I remember looking at my husband and saying, something's wrong, this isn't good. When they bring the victim's advocate, then they tell me that they have him and they don't have the kids.
They didn't find Sarah and Philip with him.
What? What does that mean?
And they started talking about whether he owned guns.
No, that can't be. They were locked up at all times.
The way they described it, there was enough evidence in the car that they knew the kids were killed. On it, but she could have borrowed it from another kid. I actually had one of Philip's baby teeth and something from Sarah's hairbrush. And I told him that I didn't have it right now, but her baby book had a lock of her hair. And they said, well, we're not going to take that now, but if we need it, we'll let you know. I don't know why I still didn't believe it. They sat down with us about 4 or 5 days later to give us the details. I don't do well thinking about what happened in that car. He shot Sarah first. Then he said that his gun jammed and that he had to then retrieve the other gun that he was carrying. And so now Philip is now just is sitting there. He has witnessed this, and was it seconds? Was it minutes? I don't know. I can't even fathom what happened at that point, that he has to bury the children. And that just disgusted me. There's only one thing at that point that was worse than the outcome, where that was just, to me, the ultimate act of selfishness.
Manuel Gehring, the father charged with murdering his 2 children, arrived at the Concord, New Hampshire airport almost 2 weeks after his arrest in California and was quickly shuttled to the police station.
The press got a hold of it. And it was the craziest time. We were almost locked into our home. I mean, it was everywhere. I could turn on the TV and see this everywhere I looked.
Weeks before the children disappeared, Manuel Gehring was in a bitter custody battle with his ex-wife. Court records show that he refused to abide by a mediated agreement regarding the custody.
I wasn't prepared. You know, it's not a good thing. It just didn't make sense. I wasn't going to believe it. Then they suddenly are asking me for DNA. Do you have anything that would have your children's DNA on it? Never, never, ever, ever do you want to be asked for DNA for your kids. Ever. That's all I remember is going around the house trying to figure out what I had that had DNA on it. This ponytail holder has Sarah's hair, duct tape, garbage bags, shovel, and a pickaxe, and some snacks. He took the time to wrap them in garbage bags, and then he made sure he told us that he made a cross out of duct tape. He was even complaining that when he went to move the bodies out of the car, that they had become stiff. They'd been sitting and in that position so long that rigor had started to set in, and that he had to bury them sideways. He had to change the way he dug because they weren't going to lay flat or straight. He wanted sympathy for how hard it was for him to do this. When you see your headline in the newspaper and it talks about that you were a victim of, domestic abuse, there's no turning that off. And I think that was a point when I realized I had to just face this head on.
Manuel Gehring has been indicted by the Hillsborough County Grand Jury for 2 counts of first-degree murder relating to the death of his children, Sarah and Philip.
The press started coming down our driveway, and it was just the constant request for interviews. But at this point, he did not look comfortable at all. He looked like he was awkwardly trying to do what he was supposed to do in the moment. It felt awkward to watch it. But I think the video camera was on, and he was just pretending to act for a video camera. He was definitely the type of person in a social situation that came across as just, I'm such a good person. Just seeing them together, here he was trying to be this Father of the Year idea, and knowing what he ended up being and doing to those.
Twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
I can see your Your face has changed. Like,
Oh, it's disgust. There's nothing I like about hearing his voice or seeing him. He never would be that happy looking unless the camera was on him. He could pretend he was the good guy. That was definitely not how he normally behaved. He was very awkward with them. It was like he didn't know how to connect with them. Kids, it gives you that, I almost say nauseous feeling. That's just, it's sickening. He was in jail and he kept lying. I hadn't seen him. I had to sit there and watch Sarah be shot and know that what was coming towards him. They tell me he had defensive wounds, how he tried to dodge bullets, and eventually he was shot in the head. They both were shot in the head.
Tell me a story, Philip.
Once there was a little boy named Max. And he kept living the end.
He drove a full day with them just sitting there in the car. And, he didn't even say that he covered him up with a blanket or anything like that. And he stopped at a store and he stopped for gas. It was clear what his intent was. He had bodies that he had to bury, so I hadn't talked to him and got a phone call. It was the victim's advocate from the Attorney General's office, and she says, Manuel killed himself in jail. There was absolutely no sadness that his life was gone, none. And there still isn't. Still looking for the bodies.
Because even though Mr. Gehring has been charged, the investigation is not over. We still have not found the bodies.
He didn't know where he buried them. He had that irritating ability to remember details. The grass was very tall. The grass had these seeds on it that were this color. And now he doesn't know what state he was in. Whether he'd been driving for 8 hours or 26 hours. I knew the whole time he knew where they were. And he was in jail and he kept lying and never willing to say where they were. That was just, to me, the ultimate act of selfishness. Transcripts, but they let me come in and listen to him describe everything.
After you made the turn, how far did you travel?
Not very far. I would guess 1.5 miles, 2 miles. It's a dirt road, and then there's a woody area into it. It looks like abandoned property.
I've got to listen to a lot of this, and I remember he was particular and wanted to explain things in his level of detail.
There was a fence. It was probably 6 feet tall, and it had some kind of a pump, green pump, open, and it looked like a handball, and then the rest of it was kind of rusted. There's a large building fairly close to it, a light yellow house.
That's, the type of detail I knew he remembered, but he was so evasive after this about what state it was. I don't know, was it Iowa, was it Ohio, was it Pennsylvania? And he pretended he didn't know. That was absolutely a game. I knew he knew where they were. In 2005, we decided that now it was up to us to find them. My husband and I decided to make the trip that Manuel had taken. I studied that map. I could still probably tell you every exit on Interstate 80 between Pennsylvania and Iowa. We were hauling across all those states. We had this placard on our car, help find Sarah and Philip Gehring, and people would see that. And it was unbelievable kindness that we were seeing from strangers as we went from town to town to town. We were a live feed on the 5 o'clock news, and that's what I wanted to have happen.
I'm not giving up. I'm giving it all I got right now. And I hope to have made some contacts that will be able to help me. Right now, I need to focus.
Worse than the outcome was knowing that he buried them someplace and didn't have the guts to say where they were. When he killed himself, that's when I thought, I'm not going to find him. We don't have any idea where they are, and I figured that's it. It wasn't going to be okay if it ended with them never being found and knowing they were buried somewhere in garbage bags. That was never, ever going to be okay for me. So it was now all up to me.
I drove maybe to the next place that I could turn.
At what time in the afternoon?
It was around 2:30.
Why do you recall 2:30?
Because it was sunny and it was hot.
After his suicide, they just said, here, you can have whatever information you want. They didn't give me, but there was a tremendous sadness that with his death, the chances of me finding those kids' bodies was really slim.
The two children were last seen alive on July 4th, attending a fireworks show with their father. Gehring, after that holiday, traveled some 3,200 miles in 6 days, crossing the country. Authorities now believe that somewhere in the Midwest are the remains of his two children.
I can tell you that the searches that have been conducted have not yielded any results. We have not located the bodies as of this date. We're continuing to ask the public for their assistance.
When I found out that he had killed himself, I asked, did you find anything in his cell? Did he leave a note that told us where they were? And she says, we haven't found anything. There's only one thing at that point that was racist. The girl doesn't. Now I know they found him.
Police say a woman walking her dog stumbled across the shallow graves when the dog broke away and began to dig.
This woman was out there searching. She had no experience in being a detective. She just saw that lady looking for her kids, and she said, I should go find them. And the dog runs off, and he goes and lays down. And she went over with her shovel, and that's where she found the kids. To finally hear that they were found, I knew that I had done what I was supposed to do. I was able to connect with this woman that found the kids, and this woman had shared with me this story that when they found him, we looked over into the field and there were these two deer. And they described the deer as one bigger than the other. And they stood there, they said for about 2 minutes that those deer just stood there staring at him. And the police officer that was with her even wrote me and said, it was like they said, tell Mom we're okay. And they did. So this is a picture of Sarah and Philip walking off. It's just a very, very sweet picture that I've always liked. It reminds me that they are with each other. We brought their ashes home. We had a very quiet, private memorial service In my home, I have a small area with some shelves, and that's where all their stuff is. Finding them and bringing them home always just felt like, to me, what I needed to do as a mom. Different life, new world, and this is my husband, Jim, and my girls. And it's good. I have always felt like I was going to survive because of them. I think if it wasn't for them, I don't know what would have happened. I really don't. But there was still all the regret and sadness about what I didn't do as a mom. It was my duty to protect them, and I didn't do that. That's what you're supposed to do. Mom's supposed to protect her kids, and I didn't do that. I failed them. I'm not going to play what I should have done. I'm not going to say if I'd gotten married on finding them. This is going national. It was this hope, that this is it. Now we're going to find them.
Terry looks carefully from above, searching for the spot where her ex-husband, 44-year-old Manuel Gehring, may have buried Philip and Sarah.
My whole mission for those 2 years was to get those kids home, because that was not how the story was going to end. It was like they said, tell Mom we're okay. And they did.
Investigators are asking for the public's help in finding the makeshift graves of the Gehring children.
He described bell-shaped sewer connectors made of concrete. He described fence. He described, wood piles, things of that nature.
The goal was to get people out there to look in their own backyards, in their own places, and maybe remember something that happened. But by now it's 2 years ago. I knew there were no longer an active investigation where people were out investigating leads on where the bodies were. The first phone call I got on that day was from the investigator on the case that was very, very involved. And he goes, Terry, I just wanted to let you know they found 2 bodies in Ohio. They're telling me that they were a male and a female, approximately the same age. They're buried together. The boy has braces, the younger one has braces. On a different day, if I had done something differently. But I can say that I should have protected them. I still, to this day, you have conversations, and I tell them how sorry I am. I am sorry that I failed them. I say things like, I wonder what you would have been. I wonder where you would be. I wonder what your world would be like. I see a lot of Sarah's friends, and it's amazingly hard to watch them. To watch them get married and have kids. And I talked to Sarah about, I wonder who you would have been with and what you would have done. Even just preparing to come here, I grabbed Philip's blankie and I'm holding on to it. And I'm saying, I'm sorry. I'm telling him that I'm sorry. But it's not what I did. It is what he did. And that's what I think keeps me upright. He's responsible for what happened. That is not my fault. He's done enough damage and enough hurt, and I am not going to let him ruin anything else.
I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna lie, when I saw that picture, I still feel guilty of killing him. Even though I know what I did was right, but I still took another person's life.
I was a single woman. I'd raised 4 kids, and I was out on my own. They had moved out. They were in their 20s and 30s. So my nights were free. I had been somewhat unlucky in love, and so I was going to take a chance and join a dating website. When I saw John's profile, he was in the medical field. He was very handsome. He had pictures of his dogs, of his children, and we decided to go on a date. John seemed to be very interested in my life, which I liked. Everything he said was like perfect in my eyes.
I did a lot of traveling overseas with Doctors Without Borders.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
He'd been divorced 16 years. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's a long time to be divorced without jumping back in.
I made a mistake once. It took me forever to get over it.
John made me feel very desired. And so that was why it was. And he affected way too many lives. Sorry. It's hard talking about it so much. Because you think you've completely moved on and you're great, and then it brings back all these memories of the hell you went through. On our first date, I think we closed down the restaurant. I said, why don't we go back and I'll make you a cup of coffee before your drive back. And so I invited him up. I ran to the restroom. When I came back from the restroom, he was laying on my bed. And I said, no, get off. We're not ending up here. I said, we've had a perfect night. Don't do this. And he goes, what's wrong with it? And I said, well, because I don't want to go there yet. And he kept laying there, so easy to get lured in.
I just wanted to be with the right person, and I'm glad I waited.
This type of person gets in your head, knows what to say. It was just this gift that he had, a sick gift. Well, this was a picture of John, one of the first pictures he ever sent me. Looking at it now, I find it sad. I can't do this. Sorry. What a waste of a person. With John, things were moving very quickly after our first date, and he treated me so well. I was loving every minute of it. It felt so great.
Hi, sweetheart.
Hey, Mom.
It was a few days before Thanksgiving, and Tara was coming out to help me with a dinner for Thanksgiving. I was very excited for John to meet Tara, and Tara to meet John. I thought they would get along really well.
John,
Aaron said, it feels so good. You have no idea how good your bed feels. And he kept making comments, this feels so good. I'm thinking it's just a mattress, who cares? I didn't realize at the time he had a secret. Looking back, he had been in jail right before he met me. The last time was 3 days before I met him. That's why the bed felt so good to him. He had just gotten out of jail. And in hindsight, if I would have known who this person was, I would have never dated the guy. But I didn't realize that. There were times when he would show up in scrubs and they were dirty. So this photo is a charity event in the beginning when John and I had just started going out. And he was really late, I remember. So he pulled up late. And finally I said, no, you're not staying. You have to leave. And he left. The next day he calls and he apologizes for jumping on the bed. He just didn't want it to end, and he was very attracted to me, and he says that it was completely his fault and that he wanted a second chance. I was hesitant, but he pleaded with me, and I finally said, yes, I'll give you a second chance. The next few dates, he was a complete gentleman and would just kiss me goodbye and leave. And so he learned his lesson. John wore scrubs a lot, and back then I didn't think a lot of it because I thought he was going to work, but in scrubs. And I'm thinking, okay. And he said he had no time to go home and change at his place because it was too far away from where the hospital was. If you're in surgery and it's running over because there's complications and you don't have time to change and you're trying to get there, I didn't question it. I mean, I looked at it as odd, but at the end of the day, he always had the best excuses. We had our picture taken with his scrubs on. But looking back now, it was a complete act. It's how he lured women in. I still get calls every day about it. Just yesterday, I had a call from a woman that he had dated right before me, that she thought the same thing. She actually thought he was a doctor. When I look at these scrubs now on John, I see him as a costume and a way to lure women in.
Sarah's here. Come and say hello. How are you doing, sweetie?
I'm good, Mom. She said that John was very charming. She said that he was a doctor, and she was so happy about that.
I am so excited for you to meet him.
I know.
I can't wait. He sounds perfect.
If my mom was so in love with him and thought that this was her guy and her perfect guy, I wanted to get to know him.
Hey there.
Hi, John. It's so nice to meet you.
I wanted John to be nice and comforting and endearing, but instead, when I met him, he was kind of cold and standoffish.
Why don't we all take a seat?
Usually, if someone has kids and they're dating your mom, then that's what they talk about most of the time because they want you to know like they have kids and they care about them.
So, John, I hear you've got daughters of your own.
Yeah.
But John didn't talk a lot about his family. My mom, however, would talk a lot about his daughters and how he was such a good dad.
John is such an incredible father, and his daughters are all so beautiful, aren't they, John?
It's me that I didn't want to see my mom happy, that I just wanted her for all myself.
If you were my daughter, I'd smack the hell out of you.
Seriously? You're gonna let him talk to me like that?
I screamed back at him, and I screamed at my mom too because I couldn't believe that she was allowing him to speak to me like this.
I don't know what's wrong with you that you can't see that.
She felt that John was lying about his life and that she could see right through him. And why can't I see it? I told her it's my life and I can make decisions on my own. I'm an adult and she needs to respect me.
That was completely out of line.
I told her I don't know what else to do other than leave because I'm feeling like I'm getting kicked out of the house.
Well, I'm not staying in the house with him here.
No one is forcing you to stay.
She never stopped me.
And tried to look like this great, successful man. And they were obviously old. He had been using these scrubs for years to con women or to go into hospitals. I think back to how many times he tried to fool me by having his scrubs on and how many other women he fooled doing this to.
Something was fishy to me about that because she never met them. And if this guy was so close to his kids, why wouldn't you meet them?
Do you have any pictures of them?
No, not on me.
Oh.
John and Tara did not hit it off like I had imagined. He was a little bit aloof. I didn't know what was going on, but prior to John, my kids have been very protective, and they always felt I deserved the best.
Why don't you bring your things upstairs and get settled in?
And so
I thought things were more serious than I was led on to believe. My mom said that John was not moving in with her, but I walk into the bathroom. I notice his men's grooming bag there. Then I notice there's a toothbrush, there's his aftershave, and there's stuff of his in the home like he would be living there and not as a guest. As I'm walking through the house and I'm just seeing his stuff everywhere, I'm getting so angry because I'm being told that he's not living there, and I'm being very suspicious of what she said to me. And then I opened the closet of the room that I was staying in to put my suitcase in the closet, and I realized that there wasn't room in the closet because his stuff was just everywhere. There was a box.
After John died, we went to the crematorium to cremate John's body, and I filmed it so that I could have closure. I felt like that was the final step to having John gone. As I was watching the box go into the fire, I couldn't help but think that he was going to be burning in hell. He put me through hell, he put my family through hell, and he's probably in hell.
This is John in the hospital bed. After the incident, I'm just so thankful I can't see his eyes here. I can't. Box there, filled to the brim, a little bit overflowing, but right on top was a nursing certificate. I was told that John was an anesthesiologist, and I was mad that I was getting lied to, so I confronted her.
Mom, what the hell is his stuff doing all over the place?
Tara had gotten very, very upset and was yelling at John and telling him, "What are you doing with things in my mom's house?" and yelling at me.
Did he move in here?
Yes, honey, I meant to tell you.
I can't believe you. Are you crazy, Mom? You don't know anything about this guy.
Don't you dare yell at your mother like that.
What are his diplomas? He's not an anesthesiologist.
What the hell is this?
Something's wrong with this guy, and she's yelling. She's very upset.
He's been lying to you. He's not a doctor. He's a nurse.
Well, I'm sure there's a reasonable...
Tara, you stay out of it.
He comes in accusing me of snooping through his things.
He told me, thinking to myself, here we go again. They don't like a guy because I'm falling for him.
Tara, stay out of it.
I scream back at him, and I scream at my mom, too.
Seriously? You're gonna let him talk to me like that?
That would have been the first moment that she should have protected me against John as a mother. The day before Thanksgiving, I went to Newport to spend Thanksgiving with my mom. I found out It just hurts because that would have been the first moment that she should have protected me against John as a mother.
You're choosing him over your own daughter?
After Tara left,
Fine.
I asked John about the certificate, and his reply to me was he was a nurse anesthetist opposed to an anesthesiologist, but they basically do the same thing. So I didn't think anything of it. I just thought that she was making a big deal over nothing.
After the fight, I went to my sister's, and Jacqueline and I were discussing that something is terribly off with this guy, that this guy is evil.
There's something seriously off about him. I thought the same thing when I met him.
And that's when there was a string of text messages that came in from my...
And there's this woman with wet hair, dressed all in white, reading this little Bible, drinking Ovaltine. She had all my clothes on. And I'm talking to her. How'd you get in my house?
What are you doing?
And she said, well, it's my house.
This is my home.
She looks very distraught. I thought she was mentally ill, a homeless woman that had wandered her way into our house. And John slammed her down on the kitchen counter. And John looks at me and he said, call the police.
Call the police!
What? Once the gal was gone, John immediately went into protective mode. He felt that we needed to get cameras to protect me. Cameras at the front door, the bedroom, down the hall, and towards the entry. John had set it up to where he could see me in his computer and also on his phone. At that point, I thought he didn't want anything to happen to me. He was protecting me. I just thought he cared a lot about me and my safety. I now look back and I feel that John probably knew the women, and it was a way to set up cameras in the house so that he could watch me.
John, please repeat after me. I, John.
Hi, John.
Take Deborah.
Take Deborah.
To be my wedded wife.
It had been 2 months, and John was very persistent about wanting to get married. And he kept saying, please, please, pleading with me. He said, what do you have to lose? We're going to be together the rest of our lives.
For better or worse.
Better or worse.
For richer or poor.
Richer or poor.
I was falling in love. At the same time, there was my gut that was telling me, slow down. Something's not quite right. But I was ignoring it because the feelings of falling in love are so much fun.
With this ring.
Mom's phone.
Oh my God. What?
Saying that my sister should jump off a building head first would be preferably, and telling my sister to end her life.
What the hell? I just don't
Let me
understand.
see. Jackie, this is crazy.
Jacqueline was shaking because her mom was saying these things to her. But I looked at them and I thought that couldn't be my mom saying that.
There's no way Mom would say this.
The wording was off. It wasn't how she would write something. And we knew it was not my mom who was sending them.
Mom would never say this to us.
It was John.
Yeah. You've got to be right.
I could tell that he was dangerous, but at this time we only had suspicions, and it was so frustrating because we were perceived as the crazy ones.
We got to get him away from her.
We warned her so many times, and she was unable to see the red flags, and I knew this was going to happen.
John filled a void that I felt many other men had not filled. He made me feel like I was the only one. Every word was completely what I wanted to hear. Every action was what I wanted to see. But there was this Sunday where John and I were going to church, came home, walked in the front door.
That'd be a good idea.
I do what I do then with all my love. All my love I give to you. I give to you.
We had no idea that my mom had married John until way after the fact. We warned her that this guy was a bad guy, but she still did it anyways.
The reason I kept my marriage to John a secret is because I knew it would create a lot of problems with my kids, and I didn't want that.
By the power invested in me by the laws of the state of Nevada, I do pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride. Oh my gosh.
Aww.
That was painful. I think that one of the reasons I stuck by John at certain times was because I had taken those vows. I still felt that that is the right thing to do, to honor your vows. And when I look back now, I realize it was all a game to him. The whole thing was a lie. You jerk. You've been lying to me. What's going on? So I go home and I confront him. I said, what's going on? You came home. How come? And he said, oh, they canceled. The woman had eaten something, so they couldn't do surgery, so they sent me home, which is legit. Another time he said he wasn't feeling well, so they were able to get somebody else to cover him. His stories were so believable to where he convinces you. He would say, why would I lie to you? What's there to lie about? He was very, very, very he could sort of track where I was going. And I didn't realize he'd done my phone and the iPad and all that.
Okay, good idea. Thanks, honey. Bye, John.
And I'm thinking to myself, I don't like that he could just see me everywhere he is. It's just creepy. That's when I thought, there's a lot more to this that's going on. There were some odd things that he was doing. I'm looking at this camera thinking, what's going on? After the drive to Vegas, when he had seen me in Barstow and was telling me when to get gas, I was pretty much wondering, what in the world is he doing? Why is he watching me to this degree? I was starting to become suspicious at this point. And so I thought, I'm going to hook up to the camera so I can sort of see what's happening. There were some odd things that he was doing in the morning. He would leave in his scrubs. And 1 or 2 hours later, I had logged on to see what was happening. He would come back. He'd go upstairs, either lay down or play video games or, just hang out in the bedroom or in his office all day. I'm looking at this camera thinking, after John and I were married, he was the doting husband and things were great for a while. I felt like we were on our honeymoon constantly. But what I realized with John is everything was orchestrated to literally have complete control. I got really creeped out when I'm driving to Vegas and he calls me.
Hi, John. Yeah, I just pulled over. What's up?
And he says, I see that you just passed Barstow.
Yeah.
I think you need to stop for gas and probably in Baker. And I'm like, okay. The cameras at the house felt normal, wanting to protect me in my environment. But he had also set up my iPhone to where fencing. The first time I saw all of his prescription pills, I thought, wow. He had, I'm going to say 9 different bottles of pills. And some were prescription antibiotics. He had pills for MS, pills for ADHD. He had Ambien, and he had a bunch of pain.
Stalking us quite frequently. Jacqueline was very frantic after she saw John, and she had warned me to carry pepper spray, keep my pocket knife on me that she knew I had, and to just be aware. He was stalking us, so we needed to prepare for anything that was going to come. I could see things that my mother couldn't because I was not in it. She was the target, and I was the person that he wanted to isolate. But it was so frustrating when my mom wouldn't believe me. It was so hard. She would believe John and anything he said. So Jacqueline had hired a private investigator and brought that information to me.
I was his next victim. He's out of control, and there's nothing you can do about it.
This photo is of my mom and John holding it right in front of me. It makes me angry still because I don't think I was talking to my mom at this time. And he's wearing scrubs and he's pretending to be a doctor. But now that I'm looking at it so closely, I've never seen any of my doctors dressed like this. I don't want this one anymore. One day, Jacqueline came home and found John was sitting there waiting for her to get home. The following morning, I got text messages from her saying that she saw John and to look out for a certain car. This was the first time that we had evidence that John was stalking us. I later found out that he was pills.
I thought that was quite odd that someone has so many pills. And so I questioned him. I asked, wow, how come so many? He had told me that he was in Iraq. He worked for Doctor Without Borders. And one of the things that he did that he was telling me is he had jumped out of a helicopter and he was helping save lives, but he had lots of scars from jumping out of the helicopter. I never saw him completely out of it except one time. This time was a few months into the relationship, and I thought I would surprise him by coming home in the middle of the day.
John, is everything all right?
And he was completely out of it. And I realized he had probably taken a bunch of pills that day. But when I asked John about did he take a bunch of pills, he said, no, I had the flu. What makes you think that I would take a bunch of pills? John would always turn around if I questioned something. Why would I lie to you over this? I love you, you know? So he had a way of turning everything around. to where you walk away going, okay, wow, well, I'm sorry. You know, I guess I shouldn't have read into it. It made me feel badly that I was questioning him.
He seemed sketchy from the start, but this is insane.
It was scary.
I mean, look at how many identities he's had.
John was using different social security cards. He had restraining orders on him.
He's been in and out of jail like a million times.
He had several arrests on his record. He had been to jail many times.
I can't believe how much dirt there is on this guy.
He was a con man, essentially. Having everything confirmed was very scary. I didn't want to be right, but everything was confirmed. And so this is game on time. We got to prepare.
We have to get Mom away from him.
There was this one day, I go out to get the mail, and there was this letter, and it was addressed to John. But it was from the Orange County jail. And because I had my suspicions at this point, I opened it. It basically said, it sounds like you're doing great. Sounds like you found the one finally, and that life's really turned around for you. The way the guy worded it made me realize that John must have been in jail with him. And as I'm reading it, right at that moment, John grabs the letter out of my hand.
The hell do you think you're doing?
I said, what are you reading? And I think he had been watching me on the camera. I think he knew he was caught.
Is that a letter from prison? John, do you know that man?
What are you doing snooping around in my mail?
And he says to me, it's one of the guys that I send care packages to.
Well, I just don't understand why an inmate would be writing to you.
He said, I'm sending gift packets to men in jail. And he said, you know, a lot of people are in there for the wrong reasons, and I just care about people, and I think this makes the difference in their day.
What are you talking about? Who is he?
I asked him, were you in jail? And he looked at me and he said, I haven't spent one day in jail. What are you talking about?
Just because we're married doesn't mean I have to answer to you. And it definitely doesn't mean you can go around opening my mail.
And he said, you're committing a felony. And I said, what are you talking about?
I could have you arrested for this.
He wouldn't answer my question. And obviously at that point, I now know that this is not the man that I thought I married.
Stay out of my business, Deborah.
I'm realizing that he's been lying to me, but I didn't know the extent of he was so not the person that I thought he was. At this point, I thought I was his next victim, and he's out to get me. I knew I had to do something to get out safely. I hired a private investigator to help me figure John out and also how to get away very safely. I saw my kids in private and would pretend like I'm at work that day. I, little by little, tried to understand the mind of a sociopath predator. But John had the capability of killing me. So that's why I took preparation for months. You have to do it very carefully and very slowly. You can't do it overnight, who he portrayed whatsoever. What I read was shocking. Extortion, stalking, him having a gun, restraining orders, drug abuse. There was one paper in particular that really caught my eye and really scared me. And it was showing evidence of a prior conviction of John being arrested and what they found in his place. He had cyanide. He had guns. He had knives. he had zip ties, and I thought, cyanide. This is crazy. What's he doing? What's he up to? The other thing that really scared me was I read document after document of women that he had strangled, victims out there that he was still harassing, women that changed their names because they're still in fear of him. And he had been in jail 3 days before I met him, who John was. It was definitely a turning point, and I needed to figure out what I was going to do. At this point, I thought I was his next victim, and he's out to get me. There were times, a few months after the marriage, that some things started happening that I noticed. Getting the cameras, the pills, the letter, I realized that John had a very suspicious side to him at that point. And yet I felt confronting him, I'm not going to get a straight answer. And so as my suspicions grew, I decided to walk into John's office and look around and see what was there. I found different Social Security cards, just a lot of different names other than just John Meehan. And in this trash can, there were 329 pages of a lawsuit. I started reading through them and realized John was not right, or they're going to figure it out. With John, I acted like nothing was wrong. I never reacted. I had to play his game and get to a point of being safe myself. So I was moving money around. I was changing my passwords, and there was $30,000 that I had put in the bottom of a lingerie drawer. That was cash for me running, and somehow John found it. One day I came home, and John was standing there, and he had the cash in his hand, and he showed it to me. He said, "What is this?" I'd been busted. John knew something was up. He didn't know what was up, but he knew something was up. I knew that I had to get out, and I rushed to leave. He stands in front of me, and I'm inches away from him, and he's pushing at me. And he kept saying, "Hit me, hit me." I realized at that point he had caught on. He knew what was happening, and I said, "I'm not going to hit you." And he says, "Hit me because you'll never get up again." I said, "Move aside. I'm leaving you right now." I felt like my life was in danger, and all I could do was hurry as fast as I can to get out of there so that he couldn't do anything to me. And I just sort of ran to my car. I didn't know how to call work and say, "I'm a client. I need to get a hold of her. I don't know how." He would send me, "Boo, I found you. You can never hide from me." Like, the next corner you're going to turn, he's going to be there and kill you. One of them was, "I hope you went to church today because I have a really bad feeling about you." I didn't want to even leave my hotel room. I was afraid to even go down the hallway that he would grab me or have somebody grab me. You're in constant fear. It's horrifying. You don't know any way out. Couldn't think about anything else except trying to figure out where I'm going to hide next. I felt like it was almost easier to die than to keep living in this nightmare. This next one was pretty bad. No more being nice. This will turn an entire family inside out. You're selfish to allow this. You'll never forgive yourself for what I'm about to do. Well, I had no idea what he was going to do, but obviously I felt like he was definitely capable of killing me.
At the time, I was working as a dog groomer. One day at work, I get a phone call. It's very chaotic in the back because the dogs are barking.
He was going to bury me in the backyard. He couldn't wait to strangle me. I will kill you and take everything you've ever had. The final straw was John had caught on. He saw how much money I had taken out of an account. I think I had removed a good $30,000 that day. And he came to me and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm leaving you." And he said, "You can't do this. We're married. What kind of wife are you?" John was extremely mad at me. And he would send me very, very threatening text messages all the time. "You think I'm going to allow your family to continue? Feel sorry all you want. I don't care. I have pictures and emails. Don't test me." And took off as fast as I could. This picture I didn't see until way after the fact. I believe this was one of the times he was arrested. I'm going to say in 2013, when he went to jail. It's amazing that I actually thought I fell in love with a man that I thought was a good man. And knowing that I was in the same bed with him night after night and knowing what he was capable of is pretty crazy. He would put nude photos of me online, and some were a lot worse than this. Some were that I will kill you and take everything you've ever had. He was going to bury me in the backyard. He couldn't wait to strangle me. When I started getting these texts, I was scared for my life, and I went into hiding. I actually went to a store and bought dark wigs, changed my clothes. I ended up staying in hotels. I had to change my whole routine. I remember shaking all the time, couldn't eat, and I had no idea what he was going to do. I was in hiding 8 months. Every time I got a text from him, my heart would just drop and I would be in a panic. There were thousands of threats that I wouldn't see the end of the day and don't plan on waking up tomorrow. I mean, they went on and on and on. So that's why I was in constant fear. I would change phones and he would
working because they want to get fed. And I take this call and it's this French guy. The man said he had seen me before and he wanted to bring his dogs in for grooming. I thought it was weird when a man called me with a French accent, but I was so preoccupied in trying to get these dogs fed, and when you're getting barked at for a meal, you would just want to get the person off the phone as soon as possible. So I give him my schedule as quickly as possible, and we book an appointment for the next day during my lunchtime where the dogs could come in and get groomed. I didn't realize it was John. He was trying to get my schedule. The following day, the time came where the dogs were supposed to come in to get groomed, and they were a no-show.
Newport Beach 911. Someone's been stabbed. I'm not really sure what happened. We just heard screaming.
I went to work on August 20th. I got the okay from my boss to get off a little bit early, and I went home. I noticed that there was a guy fiddling with a tire iron. My dog was barking at him, and I told my dog to knock it off because I thought it was a homeless guy just living in his car. I proceeded to get my dog out of the back seat. Then this guy grabbed. Jacqueline told me that John uses mom's car all the time. There's something about him. We wanted to know what John was up to. So Jacqueline put a tracker on the car that John was driving. We found out that he was going to doctor's offices for short periods of time. My theory on why John was going to all these different doctor offices was I thought that he could be a drug addict. He's wearing scrubs and he's pretending to be a doctor. I knew he was not who he said he was. We confronted my mom, and she didn't quite know what to do with this information, and she didn't know how to dissect it, whether or not we were making it up because it was our word against John's.
When John and I got married, we made vows, and I take those very seriously. I didn't want to feel like I was failing again. Sometimes you want to stick with it and get through the rough periods and know that better days are coming.
Me? I looked up at him and he said, "Do you remember me?" I did remember him. It was John. He started what I thought was punching me. And he was punching me over and over again. I didn't realize I was stabbed. I just tried to push him off me. And I ended up on my back. I ended up stumbling backwards. And at this point, I see the knife. And I knew he was there to kill me. I kicked the knife. And it fell directly on my right-hand side. He gasped, and he started to fall on top of me. I pushed him off of me, and he just was what I thought was dead. And then I tossed the knife as far as I could away. I scooted away from his body. I continued to scream for help. And then this lady walks up and she just started telling me that she's EMT trained and that she's trained for things like this.
Newport Beach 911. Someone's been stabbed and he attacked a girl. It's a girl and her dog and then a guy is on the ground. I'm not really sure what happened. We just heard her screaming.
Do you see blood?
Here. Yes, and the guy's just on the ground.
Then at that point, there was other people started coming to the scene. This guy came. He went over to John, and he started to check up on him and make sure that he was okay.
Police, do you have an emergency?
Yeah, we do. We got,
A stabbing west. Is
come on.
this a woman?
Breathe, come on.
Has it a male and a female?
Dude, breathe.
The male's not doing well.
Breathe.
Okay, female's there. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second.
I told them, not to touch him, but they wouldn't listen. And I told them that he tried to kill me, and I think I kept repeating that because they still were trying to revive the guy that tried to kill me. I was hysterical, and I couldn't breathe. And then I just realized I need to call my mom. So I called my mom and I told my mom, "I'm so sorry, Mom. I think I killed your husband. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry."
Getting that call and listening to Tara, it's so surreal. You're hearing your daughter call saying that she killed your husband, and you're like, what? What are you talking about? She said, I'm seeing this ambulance drive by me, and I'm realizing John's in that ambulance. But I don't really know exactly what's happened, if he's alive, dead. I didn't know the story at that point.
I freaked out at that point because in the movies, the guy always gets up, and that's when the girl dies.
Please.
Mom!
Please.
Mom! This is a picture of Cash and I in the hospital. I hate this photo so much because I remember the moment they were taking it, and I literally don't know what to do. Usually when someone takes a photo of you, you smile, you're happy. And in this moment, I felt like maybe I should smile. And I remember holding my arm and thinking, what's wrong with you?
I killed John. I'm so sorry. And I said, it's okay, it's okay. Where are you? Are you okay? And all I remember is just rushing to get there. And you go through the guilt. Why wasn't it me? Why didn't he stab me? She's gonna have to live with this. But I get there, and they won't let me go to her. They said, ma'am, it's been a crime scene. You have to stand behind the yellow tape. And Tara's yelling, Mom, Mom, and I'm yelling, Tara, Tara. And
when it felt like that, I felt like it was from above. Like either my guardian angels or God or my guides looking after me. It was just how it landed. It was meant for me to survive. I was meant to live. So I picked it up and I just started wailing on him, and I didn't give it a second thought. I thought that I was stabbing him in the chest. I later found out I stabbed him in the back. I stabbed him once in the forehead, and they put it into his eye.
The other hospital, because he's right now John Doe. He was on life support, tubes everywhere. They told me there were 13 stab wounds, but one had gone through his eye to his brain, and that he had had multiple strokes, and that he would be brain dead. When I looked at his body, I thought, what a waste of a human being. He was brilliant. He really could have had it all. The guy just wasted his life. This photo here is when John was in the hospital. I remember looking at where the stab wounds were and looking into his eye, where the stab wound went straight into his eye. And all I could think of is why? Why would he do something like this? How evil he was. And thank God it was him, not my daughter. I knew that there was a lot of healing that needed to take place, a lot of answers that I needed to figure out. And it was all about Tara at this point.
Oh my God. Tara. It's okay, Mom. I'm all right.
The moment I got to see my daughter, I walked in there and just hugged her, and she cried and I cried, and I was just grateful she was alive.
I'm so sorry. It's okay. It's not your fault.
When I saw my mom, I just had mixed feelings. I told her I knew this would happen because we warned her so many times, and she was unable to see the red flags.
I just never thought that he would do something like this. Mom, seriously, it's not your fault.
But I was so grateful that she was there and that I was able to hug her and that we're all alive.
Can we go home now? Yes, baby.
It was very, very, very difficult. I had no idea that he would go after her. I just didn't get it.
And to me, after everything, because she did bring this guy into our life, I just wanted my mom to notice that there was red flags and to know that this guy was evil. She may not have done it on purpose, but I wanted her to learn why it happened to us.
I felt guilt right away. A lot of guilt because I didn't protect her. Why didn't you see the signs earlier? I just felt so responsible. But I have to keep reminding myself that John was the evil one and I was the one just looking for love.
I've told my mom that I have forgiven her. And, you know, things may not be perfect, but we're working on it every day. But I still need to work on feeling safe. I still have some triggers from my PTSD, and I occasionally have bad dreams because of what I...
Why not me? I decided I don't believe anyone should die alone. So when they pulled the plug, I mumbled a few words to John. It's okay to go. I forgive you. After John died, we went to the crematorium to cremate John's body. As I was watching the box go into the fire, I couldn't help but think that he was going to be burning in hell. And I filmed it so that I could have closure.
Told me that they've actually left their abuser or that they were able to fight back with the attacker. So it's really important to me to continue, and that's why I do it. Look out for red flags in relationships because they are there and a lot of people brush them to the side, and it's time to take it serious because you can see what happened to me and it could happen to you.
John Meehan is an evil man that preyed on innocent victims and got a thrill from it. I will never understand.
People, they're literally taking a photo of blood gushing out of my arm and not putting stitches in it or anything yet. And they have to take this photo for evidence. This photo ends up everywhere. And I just wish it would disappear. I'm sorry. This is another hard one. When I went to the hospital, there was people that I didn't know that were touching me all over the place and poking me with needles. I just wanted my mom.
She's not here right now.
What? Where is she?
But they told me that she went to the other hospital to see her husband.
Get my mom in here now, please. Mom! Calm down.
And that really hurt me because just the way they said it, they didn't tell me that she needed to identify him. They made it seem like she wanted to be with him. And so that was so hard to hear that.
Please. Mom! Please. Mom!
And I just wanted her to protect me. That was the hardest part, was knowing that this guy came after me and then she's supposed to protect me and she can't.
They won't let me go to her. They said you need to identify the body at the...
Went through. But it was a blessing in disguise. I found a life purpose now to talk and share my story and help other women and men that have been through similar experiences. I've gotten more positive responses than anything, and people that...
I felt like Tara, if she had nightmares about him coming back, I wanted to prove to her that he was completely gone and he would never come after her again. She's never seen it, but hopefully one day, if she ever questions or feels like John's here or whatever, I can show her that he's completely gone.
I thought because everybody else wanted me to be okay that I should be okay. But I wasn't. And I had a lot of PTSD to deal with. And I did blame my mom for what happened.
And everything. I'll never understand John's brain, why he did what he did. And that's something I just have to accept. There's evil out there. And I just happened to be the victim of this evil man. And I survived. But a lot don't.